Hi, this is Maggie from Tailspin Petworks, and this is defensive handling for you and your dog, the Urban Coyote Ramsden Park Edition. The reason it's the Ramsden Park Edition is because I live on Ramsden Park, and we've recently been seeing some coyotes, and we have a lot of dogs, small dogs, and some small children, though they don't tend to be as at risk. So we're going to talk about a couple of different things. We're going to talk about coyote behavior, a little bit about body language and hazing and things like that, tools that you can use. And then we're going to talk about ways that you can condition your dog to the tools and some skills that your dogs can learn and should know to help maintain their safety. So let's get started. A little bit of information. In the city of Toronto, there are approximately 1,100 coyotes, give or take. And there are 610,000 licensed dogs. Knowing that many people don't license their dog, I'm going to say there's at least another 10 or 15% added on top of that. That's a lot of dogs. The coyote activity peaks in the winter mating season and the pup raising season because they're going to be looking for more food, looking for mates, and they're going to be guarding their territory more. They travel through the ravine and rail systems, of which we have many, and their home territory is usually 5 to 15 kilometers in an urban setting. They generally will stay closer to where there is more food and safety. So, why are we seeing more coyotes? One is the seasons, of course, but it's actually more of a human problem. It is a responsible human problem in that most people are not doing the things they need to do. Okay, so food waste, and this includes dog feces and bird seed, attracts rodents. When you have rodents and pests, you attract coyotes because those are their meals. A lack of consistent hazing, making the coyotes less avoidant of humans. So we have the combination of we had the pandemic where there weren't as many people out and about for a while, so the coyotes got super comfortable. And now we also have people who just, take video of the coyotes or take pictures and post it on social media and don't actually do anything. So what happens is the people become inconsequential. And over time, that can make them more and more bold in how they interact with us. There is also habitat change and loss due to construction disturbances. This is what happened at Liberty Village last summer. Many dogs were attacked. Several were killed. When they took down Ontario Place stuff and raised the trees and whatever, the coyotes moved north of the train tracks into Liberty Village, which is a highly populated area. It's very dense with both dogs and humans, and a lot of off-leash dogs. So the coyotes got chased and felt threatened a lot and became quite aggressive. The reality of the situation is that the city will not remove coyotes except in very specific circumstances. They did cull, i.e., kill, the breeding pair of coyotes in Liberty Village when they were determined to be not able to be rehabbed into being, I guess it's dehabituated. I'm not sure exactly what the proper word is for that. And that they would continue to be a threat to people in the neighborhood. But that took a lot to get to that point. It is illegal to try and relocate wildlife more than 1 kilometer from their home territory. This is all wildlife. It's the same thing if the people come and take, raccoons that are in your attic. They cannot take them more than a mile away or a kilometer away. Culling historically increases the size of litter. So if people start to, oh no, they should just get rid of the coyotes and they should euthanize them or whatever, you just end up with more coyotes in the end, people. It's been scientifically proven, happens over and over. They are very evolutionarily strong animals. Coyotes, boy, this talking for a long time is hard. Coyotes have adapted and evolved to live in the city. They were here before us and will be here long after, most likely. Things that you should report to 311 or Toronto Animal Services. Messy, overfilled garbages. Your neighbors, the cities, the restaurants, whatever. Report them. They need to be kept clean. If you see garbage that you can pick up, please do so and dispose of properly. People feeding wildlife. There is a bylaw against, it's quite a big fine apparently, for feeding wildlife. And that includes squirrels and pigeons and so on and so forth. Again, because the more we have around, the more coyotes we're going to have, and disease and rats and things like that, which we don't need. Ill or injured animals, so that they can be helped. Truly aggressive encounters, like encounters with injuries, or real threat, not just, well, you'll see a few videos later of what threat looks like. And again, off leash dogs. I'm going to talk about off leash dogs several times because as a dog trainer, it makes me crazy. And it's very, very much a problem when it comes to safety around coyotes. What can residents in condos and buildings do? Install extra lighting in their yards. Keep bushes and shrubs groomed low. Ensure your garbage areas are clean and talk to your neighbors about pest issues. If you notice you're having more rodentia around, talk to your neighbors about what they can do and what you can do together to help clean up the area. What you need when you're out and about walking, especially with your dog. Situational awareness. And in order to have situational awareness, you should not be looking at your phone or talking on your phone or listening on your headphones. This is not safe anyways, but people do it. And I want you to think about, if you want to keep, especially if you're walking your small dogs, if you want to keep your dog safe, you need to be aware of what's around you. And by what is around you, I do not just mean coyotes. You should know where you are in space, what's around you that you might be able to use if you need a tool or a defense mechanism. The reason there's a brick wall there is, like, if I had a dog who needed to go to the bathroom and there was a little brick wall or something, I would probably take my dog over to where that wall is, because then I have one side of my body and my dog's body covered, right? You're not like out in the middle of a big wide open space. So things like that are important. We're going to talk about what you can use. Are there rocks around? Are there sticks around you can throw? Is there anything like that if you need to? And then we're going to talk about hazing tools. Here I'm going to talk about the off-leash issue again for a moment. Off-leash dogs are seen as threats to the coyotes, especially during the pupping seasons, which means that the coyotes are going to be more bold and aggressive and more defensive. Few dogs can resist chasing wildlife. The more they chase the coyotes or go into their den areas, the more aggressive the coyotes will have to be to defend their space. Again, this is not a coyote problem. It is a dog owner problem, a people problem. A leash means they cannot practice the behavior of chasing the wildlife. And after repeated incidents in neighborhoods that have, families of coyotes, all dogs become more likely to be targeted, whether they are standing next to a human, on a leash, etc. All dogs. That's exactly what happened in Liberty Village, is the coyotes started attacking dogs, literally standing next to their owners. So we have to be really aware that our dogs are part of the problem. And again, if the dogs are off leash, you can't be picking up after them, and dog waste is a problem. So, body language. Do you know what you're seeing when you see the coyotes and the dogs interacting? I have 3 little videos here. The first one is an off-leash dog in a yard with a coyote. And the coyote tries to leave several times and is unable, and eventually goes and bites the dog. I just want to let you know. The second one is a person on a walk with their dog on a leash who sees a coyote who is behaving similarly to the first one and thinks that the coyote is being friendly. It is not. It is doing what we call distancing behavior. So the last one is predation, and it's kind of cool to watch. We'll talk about that when we get there. So coyote comes into the yard to look for, rabbits, and the husky's there. And the husky is like, "Oh, why are you here? Are you here to play? Are you a threat? What's happening?" Like even the body language of the husky is more confused than anything else. Whereas the coyote is hunched over, puffed himself up, tucks his tail under his guts so that he doesn't get injured, and then tries to keep telling the husky to go away. Every time the coyote turns away, the dog returns. This is why the coyote escalates finally. It's like, please just leave me alone. I'm just hunting. I have things to do that do not involve you. Now you see the coyote continues to get more and more aggressive because the other dog is not getting the idea. And here's it's a little fuzzy because the fun of transferring videos. But this coyote is doing very similar behavior. The tail kind of gets tucked up underneath. It looks like play bows. It's not. It's actually distancing behavior. They're more like pounces. And the dog is also very intensely staring, and his ears are kind of pulled back a little. But the woman who's walking the dog is completely oblivious and going on about, oh my God, it's so cute. Look at it trying to play. That's a problem. These are wild animals. Treat them with respect. And here's a coyote walking through a park filled with people who are completely oblivious, hunting. Now, it's not in full stalking mode because the head's not very low, but the slow forward movement, the intense ears, the focus is on the ducks. He doesn't care about you. The only time he gets a little freaked out is when he goes, in a moment, he's going to go around behind the tree and he tries to get the people to move because of the ducks there. See, he goes like, oh no, there's people. We want these animals to be afraid of us and not be that comfortable where they're trying to hunt ducks in front of people at a park. This is why hazing and stuff is so important. So now we're going to talk about doggy behavior um, and what you can read and whether you're paying attention to your dog. Are you watching your dog? Are you paying attention to the environment and your dog? Because you can do both. Um, or are you just kind of obliviously walking down the road with your dog dragging along behind you? Because you're going to miss a lot. What is the first sign that your dog senses another animal? Do you know? Every dog is different. Some of them will freeze and alert, and their ears go forward, and other ones go like, oh my God, and get a little nervous, and so on and so forth. This is information that their dog is uncomfortable because they're going to know that thing is closer than you are. So the more we pay attention to our dogs and their super senses, the more likely we are to keep everybody safe. So what we want to pay attention to is is the dog's mouth suddenly closing, or is it closed and clamped shut? Are the ears neutral or not? Now, again, every dog's ears are a little bit different depending on breed and so on and so forth, but you can watch the way they're moving. They're moving towards the back, moving towards the front, that sort of thing. It'll tell you a little bit of information about whether they're intensely interested in something or whether they're worried. Body weight is tipped. So tipped towards forward with ears forward and tail forward and all that stuff. The dog is thinking of going at something, chasing something, going to investigate something, whatever that looks like. If their body weight is tipped towards the back, they are more likely to want to run away. And remember, they're trapped on a leash with you. So you need to know that they're like, hey, we got to get out of Dodge. The last one is that the dog cannot disengage if you speak to them. Generally, if they're kind of just interested in something like, oh, hey, look, there's a thing. And you go, hey, bud, what's up? And they look at you like, yeah, what's up? That's normal. The dog is not too intense. But if they're intensely locked on to something, or they cannot look at you because they're too busy scanning your environment, something is bothering them, and you need to figure out what that is. This dog is like a Shiba Inu type of dog. If you'll notice, the tail is not curled up like it normally would be. That's one sign that he's not super comfortable. The other one is those ears are actually back a little. It's hard to tell with the pointy dogs, but they are. And he is air sniffing because something has caught his attention that he's not sure about. This dog is just panting, running around, and suddenly you're like, oh, wait, there's something happening. Okay, I don't want to look at that thing anymore. That's what that little lip lick and head turn happens. So again, people are like, oh, he's just looking around. It's like, not really. There's emotions and thoughts and stuff happening there. They're very, very sentient creatures. This dog I adore just because look at that tongue and those eyes. He's a little bit of a nut. Obviously, the owner is working on a sit stay, doing a really, really good job. That dog is like, wants to run, wants to do things, and is sitting in his stay like a good boy. But this good training, but also you can see how intense he is, locked on something in the environment until he's like, oh, wait, I'm doing training. That's what we want to see, is them to be able to like, oh, I can leave the thing that I'm worried about and look back at you. This dog is just really worried, period. Worried face, mouth is shut, eyes look worried, eyebrows look worried, ears are moving back and forth. Eventually, he's hypervigilant, looking around a lot. He scratches at his collar, which is often a sign of stress. Good stress or bad stress, but stress. And then he says, okay, I'm out of here. If you see your dog doing that, they're worried about something, and they would probably like to leave. So let's pay attention to that type of behavior in our dogs. Now we're going to talk about hazing. Hazing is basically conditioning the coyotes that people are kind of scary. Maybe not dangerous threats like I'm going to kill you, but scary enough that they don't want to hang out near us. The thing with hazing is it needs to be repeated, it needs to be long-term, and the whole neighborhood, as much as possible, needs to be involved. It can't be just like, oh, one person out there waving around a garbage bag. It's not going to work. We want the coyotes to generalize that people are not nothings. They are threats. If there is habituated behavior like approaching without fear, lingering in areas they shouldn't be, like the front lawn of my building, or refusing to run away when you do attempt small hazing, then you need to do more hazing. The only exceptions are when it's pup season and you are near dens or potential dens, if they appear injured or ill, if they're eating or at a food source, and if they are cornered or trapped, because all of those will turn on the fight or flight. And if they can't escape because they're sick, injured, trapped, etc., they're going to go at you, as we all would. The next thing is a video from the town of Oakville on hazing. It's actually a really good video, so please watch, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it after.
The town of Oakville is very fortunate to have a large and diverse ecosystem for us to enjoy. It brings us many opportunities and benefits to improve our quality of life. Having such a diverse ecosystem means that we have to be very mindful and aware of the living beings that live within it, including coyotes. Coyotes are very commonly found within North America in both rural and urban environments. Their role in the natural ecosystem is to control rodent and other small animal populations. Seeing a coyote in our natural environment is not necessarily cause for alarm. However, as they have adapted to urban environments and residents have tolerated them, coyotes can begin to lose their fear of humans and seek refuge and easy food within our neighborhoods and near our homes. When this happens, it is important that the entire community take action to ensure that the coyote keeps its fear of humans.
There's a simple, safe way to ensure coyotes remain fearful of humans and know that our homes are off limits. It's called hazing. Hazing involves making the coyote feel uncomfortable and unwelcome. It involves using actions or noises that it may not be used to and will perceive as a threat. It is important to know that the coyote is more afraid of you than you are of it. To let a coyote know they're not welcome on your property, stand tall and raise your arms. Yell at the coyote, "Go away." Stamp your feet and make short advances towards the coyote. Use noisemakers, clap your hands, or blow a whistle. Throw sticks or other small items in the direction of, but not directly at the coyote. The coyote may not immediately run away when you yell at him. If this happens, you may need to advance a bit more towards the coyote and increase the intensity of your hazing. You can try spraying the coyote with a hose or even a super soaker. It is important to continue to haze the coyote until he completely leaves the area. As well as hazing, you should ensure your property is an unwelcome environment by removing attractants. Do not leave garbage or compost outside. Do not leave small pets unattended on your property. And remove any brush piles or small enclosures a coyote might perceive as a comfortable resting place or den. Hazing coyotes should only take place in areas where they don't belong, such as your yard or schoolyard. You should not haze a coyote that you spot at a distance or in an area where it is expected, such as a woodland or field. If you encounter a coyote while out for a walk, keep any children you may have next to you. If your pet is small, pick it up and hold it in your arms. Do not turn your back on the coyote. Never corner a coyote if you are hazing. Always make sure it has an escape route. Do not haze a coyote if it is injured or sick, or if it is pups or near a den with pups.
Repeated and ongoing hazing is the best way to ensure that coyotes remain fearful of us. If you encounter a coyote that you believe to be sick or injured, contact your local animal control or animal shelter for support.
Reducing conflict with coyotes requires community involvement. Everyone needs to take action. Share these tips with your neighbors and teach your children about what to do if they encounter a coyote.
So let's talk a little bit about gear and tools and things that you can use. Some of them are for the dog, some of them are for you, and then we'll talk a little bit about some training that you can do. This is Pillow the Pom. She is a grand dog of one of my clients and is adorable in her little coyote vest. These are vests made of Kevlar and nylon, and then they have metal spikes that are attached as Velcro things that attach to the vest. And the idea is that if a coyote were to run up and grab your small dog, that they would get a mouthful of metal, and that aside from possible crushing injuries, there would not be any tearing or punctures. So it reduces the impact. It also is very unpleasant for the animal who did the attack, whether that's a coyote or another dog or even a hawk. So yes, this is a great product. If you are nervous about your dog being out and about, this is a good thing you can use. This is the Coyote vest is a trademarked product from an American country or company, but there are Canadian companies that do make this. Predators Beware is one of them. So those are always something to look at, and highly recommend for the really tiny dogs, like under 15 pounds. Different tools you can use. All of these tools here can be used, but they have benefits and drawbacks, obviously. A noise maker like a horn, whistles, a bell, a can full of pennies or coins, bear spray, and corrector, which is pet corrector is like an pressurized air sound thing. There are some risks involved here. I mean, obviously, the air horn is going to scare everybody. um, Cans of pennies can be quite effective, or cans with rocks in them and stuff. But if you've ever used that to correct your dog, which I don't recommend as a trainer, I think, because it creates the wrong impression, but you might scare your dog. So do keep those things in mind. The bear spray, same thing. If it's windy, you're going to have bear spray in your dog or on you or whatever. So you have to decide what your level of comfort is and in what situations you would use these types of products. The pet corrector itself is not harmful, it's just a noise. But again, your dog might be uncomfortable with it. Here are some more common tools that we might have around nearby that we can use. Opening an umbrella on an approaching coyote suddenly becomes really big and loud and all of those things. Tennis rackets, garbage bags, little piles of pebbles, sticks, canes, sport walking sticks, that sort of thing. These are all really effective because you can make yourself look big. And speaking of looking big, if any of you have watched Ted Lasso, you know what this is about. But this character, Rebecca, was talking about when she was little and she used to feel scared or nervous or small, she would make herself be big. And this is what we want to do when we're talking about hazing. So now we're going to talk about classical conditioning. The stuff that we are going to use to scare the coyotes would also naturally scare our dogs. So if we want to protect our dogs from being, emotionally traumatically harmed by the objects and things that we are using in our hazing to protect them, we need to consider conditioning them. So what this is like Pavlovian conditioning, Pavlov's dog. You would bring the item, make it as far away or as small or whatever as needed, and pair it with something that is awesome, like food or play. This is especially true for the sensitive and fearful dogs that we have, like lots of rescues and really sensitive breeds. Like my dog is sensitive to sound. We need to condition them so that they are also not harmed in the process. In the video I'm going to show you, I have Shebang, my dog, in my little living room, so it's a little crowded. I'm showing how to condition a dog to be okay with the sound of an umbrella opening. I'm going to use food. She's quite uncomfortable in the beginning. I ended up actually adjusting the umbrella, like the first opening of the umbrella. I just pressed the button and it went, and she was like, oh, hell no, that is not good. So I made it smaller in the sense that when I packed the umbrella back in again, I did not pack it all the way, so it didn't come out with as much force. So we might have to adjust things, like if you're going to use a whistle, do a little tiny tweet, food, tweet, and then gradually get louder, that sort of thing. You're going to see how it works. You can't really see the umbrella opening very well except in the reflection on the coffee table, but you can get the idea. The thing that we have to remember is you don't just do it once. You need to do it many times in small spurts so you don't like add up stress in your dog. And you have to start where your dog can handle it a little bit better than not. So here we go. Little bit. Good girl. Get it. Which way? Good. Good. Now you notice she's getting less and less stressed and reactive. Towards the end, you'll find that she barely responds at all. There you go. And that is what we want. Now, she's not done. I would have to do this several more times. And I want to see that lack of reaction to every single time, not just the last couple. But this is how it's done. And you can use this for anything that you want to, do with your dog that they're a little worried about. Expose them in really small amounts to the trigger, add something really awesome in, keep the session short, and you change how they feel about things. Now we're going to talk about training. What does your dog know? Most pet dogs know the minimum of sit, maybe come, and sometimes off or leave it. Rarely do they know them well. And this is not a judgment. I am a dog trainer, but my dog is far from perfectly trained. It is what it is. My big concern is dogs should have enough basic skills and have them trained well enough that they are safe and that you can rely on those cues if you need to in an emergency. So the training goals for these things, or for actually anything you're training, is you want to get the dog to reliably do the behavior in many different places and scenarios. So it's not just, know how to lie down in the kitchen. They have to know how to do it everywhere. So you would gradually, increase the difficulty or the foreignness of the environment until they could do it 99% of the time. You want them to be able to respond quickly and easily, which we call latency. I say sit, and your bum goes on the ground. It doesn't take 30 seconds to get there. And good training, as long as there's not a physical reason the dog can't do it, should get really quick, clean responses. But the way you get there is repetition. And we're talking hundreds of repetitions, not 25. Oh, the dog knows it, and I'm never going to do it again, and I'm never going to reinforce it again. Because if you're asking them to do something that is not natural dog fun, like running and swimming and chasing things and so on, the behavior is going to fade. So you need to consistently reinforce it, and then you need to generalize it, which again is taking it out in different places and practicing it. Loose leash walking is a bit of a bugaboo. Many people don't know how to teach their dogs how to do it and don't really bother most of the time. My dog is not perfect on a leash. Usually once I've given her the first 5 minutes or whatever a walk, she settles in and we're good. But it's important when we're talking about dealing with other dogs in the environment and animals like coyotes. And the reason is this: tight leashes create tense dogs. Even if they're not actually feeling tense, their bodies look like they are tense. Their bodies are forward, they're pulling, sometimes they're frantic, sometimes they're making noises. And any other animal who sees that is like, oh, hell no. So we need to make sure that we are attempting to keep our dogs in a nice neutral state as much as possible, because then they don't look halfway as threatening. This is nice, loose leash walking. Boy, it's hard to say that. Too many L's. But so it's something worth working on. I have 2 little games here that are really easy to do that you can work on, practice. And again, you have to do a lot of it, so don't quit right away. The first one is teaching heel position. And I want to explain before I start the video, heel as an exercise where you're heeling, your dog is next to their shoulder is like next to your knee kind of thing, is called heel because they're kind of in line with the heel of your foot. But the idea is you don't have to teach them to walk 500 feet at your side. That is unrealistic, and it's really unnecessary, and it's actually physically very exhausting for the dog because we are slow. So what we eventually want is actually just to get like a loose, you're in the general pocket area, not right up against me. And the way we do that is teach them to get in to the position of next to my leg, and then you reward them next to your leg. So that's what the first exercise is just teaching where heel is. It doesn't have to be now you're going to heel for 15 feet. Okay. It's a really quick video. Using a lure to bring her into position, and she gets fed in position. After she does that a little bit, she will toss the food away, say, get it, or whatever. Dog goes to get the food. She calls her back in. Eventually, you would not have food in your lure hand. You would actually pretend you're luring the dog in with food and then reward from somewhere else so that you can eventually fade that lure. Then you can name it. You can call it get in, heel, side. You can call it apple. As long as the dog doesn't know what an apple is, the word is neutral until it's attached to a behavior. The next video is a game called the 1-2-3 game, which comes from Leslie McDevitt and Control Unleashed program, which is an amazing impulse control sort of program. I use the 1-2-3 game in my teenage meltdown class because it builds really nice focus. It teaches dogs that they can look at things and look back at you, that sort of thing. And you can use it as a leave it and a recall and walking and all sorts of things. It's like a multi-use thing. The way it is taught is very simple. You say 1, 2, 3, and on 3 the dog gets a cookie. That's it. And then you repeat it a million times. But the idea is you say 1 and the dog goes, oh, wait, something is happening. 2, oh, where's my human? 3, oh, look, there's a cookie. Right? You're giving them time to process that you're saying something to them so that they can leave whatever it is they're focused on and come back into you. The way that I use it for loose leash walking is I use it to create duration of or distance of the dog moving along beside me, anticipating that 3. So here's how it goes. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, she's like, whoa, that was faster than usual.
1, 2, 3.
There, that's better.
And then over time, you start adding more duration between your numbers, and then you eventually just fade
Nice.
them in. The dog is getting rewarded for just, being nice and walking loose leash. It's a super easy one.
Oh, she's like, whoa, that was faster than usual.
All right. So, the next video, we're going to do a couple more, is teaching your dog to jump up into your arms. This is like a trick. You don't have to make it quite so big and quite so fancy, but the idea is that your dog expects you to cue them and that they can jump up into your arms or come close to you so you can scoop them up without stressing them out. Again, the more predictable you make this sort of thing for dogs, the easier it is. So if you have a little dog who goes, oh no, don't pick me up, oh my God, this is the way to kind of teach it. Because that way you say something like scoop, and then you pick them up. They're like, oh, I got warning. I was prepared before I was flying through the air. Anyway, so I'm going to show you a video by Andrea Arden, who's a trick master, on how to teach your dog to jump up. It doesn't have to be this complicated, but it gives you a bit of an idea how the behavior works.
Teaching your dog to jump into your arms is a super cute and flashy trick, but it's also a trick that requires your dog to have really good physical ability, so you want to make sure that you talk to your veterinarian first to make sure that this trick is suitable for your dog. So I'm going to show you first what the end result of the trick is going to be, and then I'm going to walk you through step by step. So this is what the trick looks like. Nora, okay, come on. Good girl. Very, very cute and flashy. The way you're going to start with this trick is you're going to start by either being on the ground, depending on how big or small your dog is. If you have a very tiny dog, start on the ground. Or if you have a dog who's a medium size or a bigger dog, start in a chair. And you are going to start by encouraging your dog to simply jump into your lap. Come here, Nora. Good girl. It's as simple as that. Give your dog lots and lots of praise. Let them know how great it is that they jumped up. And you can also give your dog a treat if you want. Nora, come on up. Good girl. The next step is that you're going to get rid of the chair to mimic the position that your body made when you were in the chair, just raising yourself a little bit off the ground. Make sure that you keep at least one knee out in front of you so you give your dog something to brace on when they're jumping up. So it's going to look like this. Nora, come here. Come here. Ready? Can you sit? Good girl. Nora. Ready? Come on, up. Good girl. So notice how Nora targeted right to my knee because it's almost like a plank that she can climb up. Teaching this behavior is an example of what's called shaping, which means that I'm not at the beginning going for the full behavior. Come here. I'm going for successive approximations, or otherwise known as tiny steps in the right direction towards what I want to ultimately teach. Come here, Nora. Come over here. Ready? Can you sit? Good girl. The next step is to raise yourself up just a little bit. So the last part I did was about this high. I'm going to raise myself up a little bit higher, and this time I'm actually going to tilt myself back a little bit so it gives my dog a way to be able to have essentially a plank to climb up. Nora, ready? Okay, come on. Good girl, good. So the last part of this trick is that you're going to stand almost completely upright, but still keep your leg out a little bit to give your dog a brace, and you're going to encourage her very enthusiastically to run towards you and jump into your arms. Ready? Okay, come on, Nora. Good girl. Good job. And that is how you teach your dog to jump into your arms.
So again, it would probably be much easier if she used a cookie every time. I'm just saying. Unless you have a dog.
Teaching your
who's
dog to
just
jump into your arms
really
is a
loves to do
super
that
cute
kind
and
of stuff.
flashy trick.
So
But it's also a
consider your
trick that
dog,
requires your dog to
use
have
what
really
is
good
needed,
physical ability. So you
and
want
go
to
from
make
there.
sure that you talk to your veterinarian
Again,
first to make
because
sure
you're
that this
shaping,
trick
you
is
can
suitable
choose
for your
to
dog.
do something
So I'm going to
even
show
more
you
simple,
first
like
what the
just
end
getting the
result
dog
of the
to
trick
put
is
their
going to be,
feet
and I'm
up
going to walk
on
you
your
through
legs
step
so
by
you
step.
can pick
So
them
this
up.
is what the trick looks
Doesn't
like.
have to be
Nora.
a full-on
Okay,
run like
come on.
that. I know
Good
for me, I
girl.
probably wouldn't
Very,
be able
very
to do
cute
that.
and
My
flashy.
knees would not like
The
it,
way you're
and
going to
neither
start
would
with
my
this
back.
trick is you're going to start
But
by
there
either
are
being on
ways
the
that we can
ground, depending on
adapt
how
it
big or small your
depending on
dog
your
is. If
ability
you
and
have
your
a
dog's
very
physical
tiny dog,
ability
start
as well.
on the ground. Or if you have a dog who's a medium
So
size
the
or a
next thing
bigger
we're going
dog,
to teach
start in a
is
chair.
teaching middle, which is
And
again
you
another
are
one of
going
those like
to
positions,
start
like
by
heel
encouraging
position.
your dog to simply jump into your lap. Come here, Nora.
I find this useful.
Good girl. It's as simple as that. Give your
I have
dog
a
lots and
fearful
lots of
dog who's
praise. Let
afraid
them know
of
how great it
people,
is
and
that they
I'll tell you
jumped
one of
up.
the big
And you
reasons
can
for
also
that
give your
is
dog a
that,
treat if you want.
Very
Nora,
few people are willing to
Good
reach
girl.
between somebody else's.
The next step is that you're going to get
stranger's
rid of the
legs to touch a
chair
dog.
to mimic the
So
position
you're
that your
basically
body
teaching
made
the
when
dog
we
to
were
go
in the
between
chair,
your
just
legs.
raising yourself a little bit off the
For
ground.
a
Make sure that
coyote
you
sort
keep
of
at least
situation,
one knee out in front
it
of
would be
you,
a great
so you give your
place
dog
for
something to
dog
brace
move
on when they're
into,
jumping
where
up.
they
So
are
it's going to look
somewhat
like this.
protected
Nora, come
if
here.
you cannot pick them up.
Come here. Ready?
So if they're bigger,
Can you sit?
or
Good girl. Nora.
they're too heavy for you,
Ready?
that sort of
Come on,
thing, you
up.
can teach them to move
Good girl.
between
So notice
legs,
how
and
Nora
then you can
targeted
use
right
whatever
to my
equipment
knee
you have
because it's almost
to
like a
protect
plank that she
yourself
can
and the
climb
dog.
up.
So
Teaching
here's
this
a very
behavior
quick
is an example
how
of
to
what's called
lure into
shaping,
the middle.
which
She's very suspicious of this one. Yeah, because she's spatially sensitive, right?
And so again, we would practice that a bunch of times, start to fade the lure.
Yeah,
but
because
keep
she's
rewarding.
spatially
And
sensitive,
then
right?
once the dog comes back after being released and just kind of goes in, you can start adding your cue. Call it what you want. I like the word middle myself. I think it's easy to remember. But it's a very, very useful skill to have. And it's kind of cute.
She's very suspicious.
Now we're going to talk a little bit about recall or a leave it. Recall is one that's so easy to mess up. Don't poison the cue. And what that means is if you use the word come to teach your dog to come, but you use it for, okay, we're leaving the park now, and oh, we're going to go to the vet, and I'm going to clip your nails or whatever, you're going to poison the cue. You're going to take away all the positiveness of it. It's the same thing as if your dog wanders off and you call them and they don't come right away, and then you start to get angry and they finally come to you and you're mad. You've just poisoned the cue. So if they take their time, they take their time while you're training. It is what it is. As long as they eventually get up in front of you, you're going to praise them and say they're awesome and give them a reward. You don't have to use the same cue all the time. You can have multiple cues. Like to me, come means come, stand in front of me or sit in front of me. I'm going to grab your collar and put a leash on. But I also use often in, like if I'm at a dog park or I'm at Cherry Beach, which is the next video, I actually will use leave it or let's go, which means come back to me. We're going to go do something else. Or don't even think about doing that thing, which is what leave it is. I see you thinking about doing that thing. And in the video, it is, I see you thinking about going into the freezing cold lake, and I do not want you to do that. So I use the leave it cue. But you'll see with lots of training how fast it can be. And that's what we want to do. You need to reward it every single time until it is so well done that they just do it automatically. You'll see this in the video. She turns around really fast. I still reward it, not always with food, sometimes with a toy, sometimes with affection, whatever, now that she knows it, but I don't ignore it either. And then you have to practice. And again, like generalization, we talked about before, you're not going to teach your dog how to recall in the living room and expect them to do it at the dog park when you have done nothing in between. So please remember that, learning requires practice and it requires adapting and exposure to new situations so the dog can learn that the cue means that everywhere. Last video, I love this video. This is Cherry Beach.
Leave it! Yes! Good girl! Woo woo! Yay! Let's go. Oh, you're being silly.
So again, it wasn't perfect when I said, let's go. She didn't want to come with me, but she came when she called, and that is all I'm going to take for now.
Leave it!
Because laying down in the snow was very exciting.
Yes! Good girl!
But that is what a good recall or a good leave it
Yay!
looks like. She was just, I'm going to go. And I was
go.
like, oh, no, you're not.
Oh, you're
Come
being
back here.
silly.
And the more that you work that, the safer your dog will be in all sorts of different situations. So remember, in all circumstances where you need these skills, stay calm, practice your cues, practice the behavior often enough that it becomes natural for you to say the cue and for your dog to respond. That way, when you are in a situation that is stressful or scary, like encountering a coyote, you will naturally cue the things that you have trained because you've trained yourself too. Stay safe. Thank you for joining us. If you want to get in touch or look at my socials, I'm not very socially active. I am older and boring when it comes to that sort of thing on social media, but you can send me an email, you can check out my Facebook, or you can go to my Instagram. Thanks a lot and take care. And I hope that you prove that these things have been helpful for you.